Hey, this is Kristen Tschida, and I just want to welcome you to Discovering Exodus. We're in chapter 39, 40, whoop, and then we're done, today and tomorrow. And today we're going to focus on, as we're looking at Exodus 39, we see the priests. It's kind of talking about the priestly garments again, what was created for and constructed for the high priest, and then for all those who would be, at that time was Aaron, and then all who would be in Aaron's line. And then towards the end of chapter 39, we see that Moses goes and inspects the tabernacle and all the work that has been done. So now we're at the end. God had laid out, here's the command on how to create and how to build and what to build and how to do it, all the divine design. And in chapter 39, towards the end, we see Moses is giving the inspection. All the articles have been brought to him, the curtains, the veils, the oil, the fragrant incense, all the articles. I'm looking at it, all the accessories, everything that was needed, the crossbars, the frames, the posts, the bases, the clasps for setting up that outer tabernacle boundary. Everything is done. And so what I want to do, because we haven't talked about the Ark of the Covenant yet, I just want to just share today on the Ark of the Covenant. And then tomorrow on chapter 40, we'll just kind of wrap everything up. All right, so my first reference personally to the Ark of the Covenant, and maybe you are with me in this, is from the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark with the Indiana Jones movie. Harrison Ford played Indiana Jones. And the Raiders of the Lost Ark is about the Ark. So the Ark of the Covenant was found at an archaeological site. And then towards the end of the movie, there's this battle between the good guys and the bad guys. And eventually, the bad guys win. They tie up the good guys. If you've seen the movie, I'm obviously making it very, very simplified. They tie up the good guys, and then the bad guys open up the ark, and all the power of the ark is opened, and it's released, and it's kind of disgusting. And eventually, all the bad guys are destroyed by its power, and then the good guys, they take the ark, they put it in a wooden box, in a crate, and it is put into an American government building. Harrison Ford's character, Indiana Jones, makes this comment about the ark. They don't know what they've got there. And of course, that's all made up and make-believe, but the power and the authority and the presence of God was manifest in the ark. And this is what we're going to talk about today. Excuse me. So the Ark of the Covenant really goes back to Exodus 25, verse 8. When God first calls Moses up on the mountain, and he says, "Have them make a sanctuary for me, and I will dwell among them." This is the way that God can dwell among them. The sole purpose of the tabernacle is to have a place where God's glory, where his manifest presence can be with his people. And Moses was the only one who had direct access to God. Even the high priest could only go through, we've kind of talked about, I didn't even pull out my book today. We've had the courtyard, so that veil entering in the courtyard, and then we had a veil that only the priest could go through into the inner court. And then one day a year, the high priest could go into the most holy place. And here's our tabernacle again. So this is into the holy place where those columns are. And then there was a veil that you'd have to push past, and only one day a year could the high priest go into the most holy place. However, Moses had direct access to God. God spoke to him there. In Exodus 25, verse 22 says, "There above the cover, between the two cherubim that are over the ark of the testimony, I will meet with you, and I will give you all the commands for the Israelites." So in all the people of the camp, Moses was the only one who could go in and come out. And he received from God direction for the nation of Israel. He received commands for how they are to live, how they're to worship. And when Moses would have questions, he would go to talk with God about how to deal with the stiff-necked people that is written about so often. So this tabernacle is now created, constructed in the wilderness. And they spent 40 years in the wilderness, and every time God's manifest presence would be upon the lid of this ark. And when it would lift, they would pack up the entire tabernacle, and they had a special way of doing everything, and they would follow the presence of God. Can you even imagine what they experienced in their midst? And why did he do this? Why did he want to be among them? What was his reasoning? And I think we have several reasonings why God even established the tabernacle. He met with his people there. He trained his people. He revealed who he was to his people. He consecrated the nation of Israel in this wilderness experience. He showed his manifest presence to the people. He was calling this nation to be consecrated, to be set apart, to be the chosen ones. And he, the God of all gods, the living God, lived among them on the lid, on the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant. And so the ark itself was the shape of a rectangular box, gold. Well, it was acacia wood, which is what every one of the vessels was created with. And acacia wood was easily found in the desert. And it was indestructible and incorruptible. It had a smell so that even little insects wouldn't burrow into it. So it's constructed with the acacia wood, and then it is covered in gold. Of course, it's covered in gold. Gold representing royalty and deity. So it was this gold box, and then sitting on top of the box was a lid. And out of this lid that sat on top of the box were cherubim that their wings were facing each other, and the lid with the cherubim was constructed out of one piece of gold. And then scripture tells us that God's presence was manifest between, sitting on the lid, the mercy seat, between the wings of the cherubim. This was God's presence. His presence that was real, his Shekinah glory. And the nation of Israel has seen God move in such miraculous ways, and that God himself wanted to come and just live among his people. And the only thing I can think of with that is in John 1:14, when John is talking about the birth of Jesus, and it says that he came and he pitched his tent. Jesus himself, he came into the stream of humanity. And then it says we've seen his glory. And this is true. We have seen the glory. Jesus, the radiant one, the one who is the exact representation of the presence of God, came and lived among us. So 2 times in history, God came and dwelt among his people between the cherubim, his manifest glory, his presence, the weight of who he is, his power, his authority, his loving kindness, all that is him was dwelling there with the people of Israel. And then we see again when the manifest presence of God comes in a completely different form, coming in obscurity into a young woman and young man of humble means. And he came and he made his dwelling among us. And he was the exact representation. If you want to know what God looks like or is like, you can look at Jesus. And inside this ark, back to Old Testament, inside the ark were 3 articles. They had collected a gold jar of manna to remember God's miraculous provision for his nation, for his people, the ones that he loved. That was stored inside the ark. And I say it, I think I've said it so many times, the word remember is woven throughout these chapters. Even if it's not written, it's woven throughout the chapters. Remember how God provided for you miraculously. And then Aaron's staff. It was a staff that there was a revolt among all the people. And there was like, well, why can't I be the high priest? So God did some miraculous things there, some wonders. And he had all the one person from each tribe lay a staff down, and in the morning, Aaron's staff had budded and blossomed, and it had produced almonds. So this just crazy witness that God had chosen Aaron and his line. So that staff was put into this box. Again, to remember, God has chosen only one line. He has chosen Aaron's line for the priesthood. And then the third thing that was in the Ark of the Covenant are the stone tablets. It was the book of the law. And again, it's to remember what God has said, how he has called them to live. And all of these things are because of his great love. But the thing that I want us to take away from this, the Ark of the Covenant, is God's desire. He's the one who had the desire to live among his people. And so he created a structure that would be able to house his manifest presence, that he would be able to be with them. This is how much God loves us, that he desires to dwell among us, to be with us. He tells us, build a sanctuary. I want to live with you. That was his command to Moses. And that's the same command to us. We have hearts that are rich. And we talked about this, that when Jesus died, the curtain that separated the holy place from the most holy place was ripped, torn from top to bottom, 4.5 inches thick, probably 30 feet high. And it was ripped. And the reason it was ripped was that we now have full access to God's presence. This is where we receive our life. We get to be with him. We get to seek him. David's cry once again, oh, that I would just behold your beauty, seek you in your temple. This was the one thing I want to do is I want to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord. And this is the invitation that God has given us. Come and gaze. Come and seek. Come and ask. Come and be with me that I would be able to pour life into you. That is what the Ark of the Covenant means to us. All right, we're near the end. Tomorrow, it's our last day together as we've journeyed through the book of Exodus. I'll see you tomorrow.